What's going on, all you PWC fans? It is your boy Frank and the Furious bringing you a little bit delayed, but they're here. That's all that matters. The Week 2 Power Rankings for Season 5 of the PWC. Now, I've recorded this multiple times already. All times have been terrible, one of my graphics were messed up. So, this is why it's been delayed, and because I'm lazy. It's a little bit of combination of both. But I'm finally getting this to you. Hopefully it's not too late. But yeah, Week 2 Power Rankings. This will not delay Week 3, by the way. This is on me. So, I will make sure Week 3 is not delayed, and we move as scheduled moving forward. Now, this is the first week where we see the kind of formulaic system come into play where I want to drop some coaches because, they played really bad, but, I don't want to drop them too far. But this week we did see one coach kind of tumble down the stairs, not because of all of his play, but just because, you know what? He had a bad game, and a lot of the people below him started winning. So, you know what? That is kind of the explanation there. We have some large risers, but 5 was the maximum spots that someone fell, and only 3 coaches have fallen or risen above 4 or greater. So, yeah. So, not a lot of movement, but if you had a really good week or a really bad week, then you might have really rose up, or you might have really tumbled down. But yeah, moving on to 14. I know I kind of just said, oh yeah, it's formulaic system, but I needed to make a change here at 14, because according to the formula, I wouldn't have made a change here. But DTN really did not play well. This was not a week it's like week 1. This is not another week he's going to look back and be proud of. And in his defense, this week he had to face a juggernaut in Gert Bilbo. And, last week, he also had to face Keto, who is also high up in the power rankings. So, I mean, I can't fault him too much there. He's faced 2 really good players, but at the same time, he has not played well against those 2 really good players. And, starting off, Rillaboom and Halucha have just not been... I know it's early in the season, but they have not been a winning combination for him already. It seems like this is not his style, playing with terrain with Rillaboom and Halucha, because it's just not working out. So he ends up bringing those 2. He brings Grimmsnarl, Flygon, Galarian Slowking, and Lycanroc this week. Yeah, Lycanroc's his signature. Yeah, Lycanroc Dusk, that is. I did not put that in my notes for some reason, but yeah, Lycanroc Dusk. So those are his 6 this week. And you look at those 6, and then you look at Gert Bilbo's team, who we see an amazing defensive core of Mega Venusaur and Chansey, and you say, yeah, Halucha can break that. If he's going to get past Gert Bilbo, Halucha is going to be a key piece. Halucha was kind of invisible. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really notice too much of Halucha in this match, because he did not play well around Zapdos, especially with Rillaboom, where he clicks knockoff. And last week we saw Gert Bilbo, static Zapdos. This week we see it again. Gert Bilbo has been punishing his opponents with a static Zapdos, and DTN willingly stays in on Zapdos with Rillaboom and clicks knockoff, which is in so many different universes, a very bad play. It is not a play I agree with in the slightest. I don't think you should stay in, period, whether you can touch it or not. If Rillaboom gets paralyzed, it's going to really decrease its effectiveness, and it did this matchup. A little bit of a rant there, but... And then you look, he brings this Flygon set. Now, I will take some blame because he showed this to me, and I went, oh my god, I really want to see this do something. It was a Dragon Dance fully special Flygon with Boom Burst and Throat Spray. Oh man, would I love to see this set work. The problem is, he brings this set against a Chansey team with no way of this Flygon being able to break Chansey. I don't agree with that. I really do not. If Flygon were to come this week, I think it would have been more of a standard set with U-turn. to help him gain momentum. I would not agree with a a specially set up that can only do it once. You can't just sit there and click Calm Mind, Nasty Plot. No, no, no. You get one chance. And there is a major Pokemon looking at the other side of the field that is going to be your counter. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this Flygon set. But moving into a little bit of positive, I didn't think it was completely bad because he ends up paralyzing Venusaur, which I think is honestly a good play. Paralyze him with Grimmsnarl. And that's going to be one ways I think how Gert Bilbo's core is going to get broken is really just paralyzing Venusaur. I think is going to be a major way of breaking this team because it's a very healthy team. I mean, Mega Venusaur and Chansey, you can Toxic them. Chansey has Heal Bell. Chansey has Natural Cure. You can't Toxic Mega Venusaur. So if you're going to find a way to break it, I think using Paralysis is going to be the way, and DTN realized that and used it effectively against Mega Venusaur with Grimmsnarl. But that's really a lot of the positives there end for me because, you know what, at the end of the day, DTN just did not have the wall breakers to get through Mega Venusaur, Chansey, and Metagross this week. Metagross became a pretty good defensive Monin. Yeah, I believe only just dies, or no, I don't believe it did die to Slowking Galarian, or Galarian Slowking, but Mega Metagross was kind of an issue for DTN this week, or normal Metagross, not Mega. But yeah, not a pretty week. Not a pretty week if you're rooting for the Judging Obstagoons, to say the very least. But moving on to number 13, we have someone who rose despite losing, and that is Sully. Because Sully plays Reckless this week. And you know what? I would like to say, I thought Sully played well. I thought Sully, there's some turns in there where I really question his decision making. But you know what? He has an excellent start to the game, disguising Zoroark, his team this week. Zoroark as his signature. Megalop, Decidueye, I say it both ways. Yeah, you're going to learn with this power rankings. I will pronounce multiple Pokemon different ways just because I feel like it. Literally nothing else. Psychotic energy, kind of. But, yeah, Decidueye, Claydol, Alola Ninetales, and Regieleki are his 6 this week. And he ends up disguising Zoroark as Regieleki and leading off with it, forcing Reckless to now pivot into his Regieleki counter, which ends up being Alolan Marowak, which is excellent for Sully as he clicks Knockoff and basically already removes Marowak from the game. And he just had a lot of knockoff shenanigans. I believe he shouldn't have let it die as soon as it did because it kind of had some effectiveness clicking knockoff in this game, especially with Mew still around and it being a Scarf Zoroark, so knocking off a lot of things. I would have liked to keep. I would have kept it around, but I'm not saying that was a massive misplay. But downside is later on in the game, he just kind of this. So I'll get into this first. We'll stay positive actually here. He ends up really using Alola Ninetales very effectively this week. Once Alola and Marowak's gone, Sully realized that Alola Ninetales clicks Blizzard for free because he gets a Toxic off on a Rotom. And if Rotom comes in, he has to fear the Freeze Dry, which Sully does have. So Sully, he realized very well, yeah, the window is open for Alola Ninetales. So I'm going to run with it. And he does. It really puts a dent to Reckless's team and puts him on the back foot. So excellent usage with Alola Ninetales there. But once Alola Ninetales its effectiveness is done, it dies, and Torrent is out there, he just kind of starts sacking things to Tornadus, and he doesn't even pick up the kill. Regieleki is still alive for him, and yet he goes into Decidueye after Alola Ninetales dies. I don't understand that in the slightest. I don't understand how that is supposed to help you in your favor. It's like grabbing a loss from the jaws of victory. If he goes Regieleki there, it's a different game, potentially, because now Diggersby has to come back out. But we do see with Reckless's sets, he ends up having a setup Diggersby, so who knows? Maybe at that point for Sully, Reckless played well enough to where setup Diggersby was pretty much ready to go. But if he still has Decidueye, Decidueye, I say both. But he still has it. It's still a way of countering Diggersby because he can't quick attack him, and I believe it was a speedy Decidueye this week, so he still, yeah, I can't remember Diggersby's speed tier off the top of my mind, but I do believe Decidueye barely outspeeds it, if I'm correct. I don't believe Diggersby's very fast, but still, I think you still have to keep Decidueye around, and just that sacking makes no sense. And at the end of the game, we see, yes, Diggersby is set up. It is kind of winning the game right now for Reckless. And Sully, he has Mega Lopunny left, and he lives a quick attack, a +2 quick attack from Diggersby, and he clicks triple axle kick. I do not know why you just do not attack what's right in front of you, because if you live, you kill the Diggersby. What are you clicking triple axle for? Like, do you think Torrent's coming in? You still outspeed it. If he comes in, well, you just click triple axle again. I just don't understand that. I don't. But you know what? Reckless also did have a good play with Chestnut being a Rocky Helmet. Quick attack puts him in range of, if he clicks triple axle, then Lop dies. But I just, you know what? If at that point you're playing for differential. This is a minute negative. At that point, you're kind of just playing for differential, and I just get the kill there. That's what I would say. Just attack kind of what's in front of you. You're pinned in a corner. At that point, you're just trying to minimize losses. And I just don't think I just do not think that occurred to him. But you know what? Sully played pretty decent a loss. He really capitalized against Reckless. Reckless ends up trying to make a lot of predictions, and Sully kind of just plays in the moment. What's he looking at? And you know what? He kind of like really chops in half a lot of Reckless's momentum. So I would like to say good good reads by Sully there. If he was making those reads, or just saying, I can take it. Like, for example, with Claydol clicking Toxic against Rotom Wash, which he should, you would think, he probably should switch there, but he ends up not switching. I guess just saying Reckless, no, I don't think Reckless is going for Hydro Pump here. He's probably going to go for Volt Switch. He's made some predictions early on in the game, so I'm just going to continue to assess my opponent, how he's playing. So if Sully did, if that was part of Sully's plan, good playing there. But yeah, it's also a double-edged sword because, like I said, Sully playing kind of what's right in front of him really kind of lets Reckless gets back into the game multiple times. Because multiple instances, you can see Sully picking up the win here, but at the same time, he lets Reckless back into the game a lot because he just makes confusing plays like sacking Decidueye to Torrent, or losing Zoroark when it's still kind of effective and Mew is still there. Yeah, it just doesn't make a lot of sense with some of Sully's playmaking, or lack thereof, I would like to say. But Sully moved up to number 13, but that's the highest I could take him. You know, I thought he played decently, but he sits at 13 right now. But moving up to number 12, we got Coach Firemaster of the San Francisco Celebi, and I would like to start this off by saying, yeah, he was unlucky. Firemaster, luck was not on his side this week, and it really shows with some paralysis and flinches, especially with Mega Heracross, who, you know what, I thought he played well with Mega Heracross. So far this season, he's been using it effectively. He's been calling predictions, and here he ends up clicking Bullet Seed, predicting the Tapu Fini switching, gets rid of that monster. Don't have to worry about that. So good playing by Firemaster there. But it ends up getting paralyzed by Miltank, and I believe it was, Mega Gallade ends up clicking Zen Headbutt, gets the flinch, but it doesn't kill Mega Heracross. And I believe instead of like Pin Missile, he was Mega Horn. And if he clicked Mega Horn there, which I don't think there's a reason to think not, like he's not really predicting Mega Gallade to do it. Like he doesn't really have anything else of free Mega Horn. If he clicks Mega Horn there, then he gets the kill against Mega Gallade. So bad luck did not reward Firemaster. It was bad luck on his part, but he ends up bringing a Scarf Chandelure this week. By the way, his team is Aerodactyl, Garchomp, Primarina, Braviary, and Mega Heracross with Chandelure. Chandelure ends up being Scarf. He doesn't have Trick on it. It's a 4-attack Chandelure. And with no Trick, I think Trick really would have worked very well against Cap. If you tricked something like Miltank, or maybe Tapu Fini in a way, if you trick that, a Choice Scarf, then you could neutralize its effectiveness, potentially. And he doesn't run Trick on it, and I don't understand. Especially, Chandelure became a liability for him in this matchup. Cap plays really well with both Miltank and an Assault-Vested Meloetta to completely stop Chandelure's momentum. And Fire Master's momentum with his use of Chandelure stops it right in the tracks. So good prep there by Capador, but I would have had Trick on there. I definitely would have had Trick on there. Because at worst case scenario, what do? You get a Scarf back, you get a Choice Band, well, you're tricking Tapu Fini or Miltank. Worst case scenario, you get a Leftovers back. Or if you trick Meloetta, you get the Assault Vest. And you were clearly kind of just being an offensive Chandelure, not a setup one, so there's not a lot of downside with that. But yeah, I just do not agree with not having Trick on Shandy. And this is another week where I think his signature pick, once again, haunts him. Aerodactyl literally did nothing. So Meloetta was very effective for Cap this matchup. Had a very good matchup, and Cap effectively utilizes it. And with Meloetta, just clicking Psyshock for pretty much free. And it clicks Psyshock, and I believe it dies to Meloetta as well in this matchup. Yeah. Yeah, Aerodactyl just dies, doesn't even get to click a move. And you know what? I think I really do believe that Fire Master, I think he needs to make the signature switch out if he wants to continue potentially have hopes out for playoffs for this season. I think he really needs to make some changes, especially with the signature pick. I really think Aerodactyl's been a liability for him so far. I know it's only 2 weeks, but I just think this is what's to come. I really don't think Aerodactyl is going to look good for him in the future. But his lack of bulk also begins to show. Like I said with Meloetta, clicking Psyshock for free. Ferrothorn's not here, so nothing resists. Nothing's really bulky enough to take a Psyshock outside of Garchomp, which even then it can't take multiple because it can't heal up, and it's his major form of offense. It's an SD Chomp this week. So Fire Master's bulk, lack thereof bulk, is really just working against him. It's really working against him. And back to Ferrothorn, I'm surprised we didn't see Ferrothorn here because Cap has a Melmetal, and Ferrothorn is the prime counter to Melmetal. Rocky Helmet, Ferrothorn, that is how you beat Melmetal. It can't touch you very well. It is one of the few, good counters to Melmetal, so not bringing it. And it's still pretty decent this matchup. Meloetta is the signature. It also can't touch you outside of fighting moves. And if he's not Pirouette, his only real fighting move is Focus Blast, which misses 80% of the time. You got a Tapu Fini there. You get free Power Whips. What exactly on Cap's team is going to want to take a Power Whip? Shaman? What's Shaman going to do back to you? You can click Gyro Ball. Or you can click Toxic. I just don't believe... Ferrothorn should have came this matchup. And it doesn't, and it shows. It really showed this matchup. But overall, I just don't agree with Fire Master's prep this week. Aerodactyl, I'm not a fan of. But in his defense, he had some bad luck. So I think that's what really saves him getting nuked. Nuked is that he had pretty piss poor luck, to say the very least. But moving on to number 11, we got Coach Prof of the Begone Thought Cricket Tot. Prof really took a tumble down the stairs, and for one reason, I don't think he really played well. I think this was a winnable match for him that really just became not winnable. And I would also like to say, a lot of coaches below him ends up winning this week. So he has a massive loss, starts tumbling down the staircase because everyone above him wins a game. So I really can't. I would have had him at 10, and then at number 11 would be his opponent, Coach Caracasa. And you know what? I can't put Prof above Caracasa. So Prof really fumbles down the staircase this week. Really takes a tumble. I know I said fumble, but still. But yeah, really takes a tumble this week. But he ends Arcanine. So he ends up making a transaction this week. He makes two, kinda. So he ends up drawing Stakataka and Delphox, which I both agree that those are two Pokemon I think he should drop. And he ends up picking up Arcanine and Cloyster. And then another move, he switches his signature from Florges to Arcanine, which I really like both these moves. I think dropping Stakataka and Delphox, I think that's a good play. Arcanine, really good fire type. We all know how good and effective it is. And Cloyster, I'm very interested to see. But I'm recording this after another transaction, and sadly, it will not last for long, so I'm sad. But Cloyster, I really did kind of want to see what he would do with it. But Cloyster, don't get too attached. Don't get too attached. But switching Arcanine to the signature, my only one issue is I don't know how I feel about having a Rock Sweep Pokemon as your signature. But Arcanine, you know what? Compared to Florges, I think it's a lot better being a signature. It's a lot more well-rounded. I know we always think of the defensive set, but it's got pretty good offense. It's got a lot of coverage. You know what? If Prof wants to bring it offensive, he can do it. And I don't think anyone's going to be like, wow, that's crazy. No, it's got the tools. It's got the tools. Whether Prof can have them put together is another story. But I do like this transaction. And moving on to his team this week, Arcanine has his debut as a signature with Mega Medicham, Raikou, Tornadus Eye, Jellicent, and which I would like to also say that is an elite Tangela nickname. Tangela Merkel. Excellent name. Elite. I just wanted to shout it out here. I like good nicknames. That is a good nickname. I love it. But speaking of Tangela, I think one thing that really sets Prof, really tumbles down the staircase is his play with Tangela this week. I really think he wasted Tangela. It looked very important against Caracasa this week. I mean, you see a Mega Swampert, you see a Landorus T, you see a Tapu Koko. That is kind of your major form of defense against it right now. And he kind of just lets it die. He doesn't make any switches to preserve it. He doesn't really try to keep it around. He just kind of fiddles with it. And, like, I just don't understand that sort of... I don't understand the plays he makes with Tangela there, because I think it had a lot of long-term viability, and he sacks it in the short term for short-term gains. Actually, I don't even know what he gains. I'm going to be honest. I don't know really what he gains from losing Tangela. If any, I don't think he gains a single thing. And you know what? I think he had poor prep for major threats, and it really showed. Once Tangela was gone, Mega Swampert, it just opened the door to really become a problem for Prof. I mean, Tapu Koko, now, like, what's its resist? Raikou? Okay. Okay. Like, what are you going to do against, I believe it was a Choice Banded Mienshao this week. What are you going to do against it? Like, Choice Banded knockoffs are going to hurt Jellicent. And as long as Jellicent's around, he's clicking knockoff a U-turn, and that's going to hurt your team. You have no major form of defense against it. And he just randomly sacks things. Like, Mega Medicham ends up getting sacked to Mega Swampert. Tangela, the aforementioned, and Raikou really doesn't do anything this week. And he had an interesting Raikou set. It was an Adrenaline Orb Raikou, so that if Landorus intimidated it, he would be able to be sure to outspeed it in case it was a Scarf and click Scald, which, very interesting plays, especially when his opponent is also a Rain Team, so you get boost from that Scald. And he kind of just sacks it. It's gone to the wind with him, especially when Mega Swampert's kind of weak. I don't agree with the sacking of his major threats like Mega Medicham and Raikou. I don't agree with it. I can kind of understand, I will go back. I can kind of understand the Mega Medi sack because Caracasa reveals early that Musharna is a pretty decent counter to Mega Medicham. It can wall it. It can wall it if it's not like a bulk up set. If it's not like a setup. It can wall it pretty well. So, you know what? I just don't think it was good prep nor good plays. And Prof, the power rank could go to show it this week. I really just did not think he played well, nor did he prep well. But moving on to number 10, we have the victor this week between him and Prof. That is Coach Caracasa. He ends up bringing Mienshao signature, along with Tapu Koko, Musharna, Mega Swampert, Politoed, and Landorus T. And Still talking about the same battle. He really capitalizes on Prof giving up on Tangela. I mean, I think Caracasa realizes he just has to get past Tangela, and then his major forms of offense, the door swings open. And you know what? He capitalizes on Prof kind of sacking it. But I think one thing that kind of holds him back a little bit is he kind of fiddles around with it. I think it kind of shows. Caracasa kind of shows that he doesn't really have a good plan of defeating Tangela. Like, he kind of keeps switching to a bunch of things, making weird plays, ends up switching into Polytoad on a Tangela. Like, he gets the kill with it on Ice Beam, but still, that's strange play. But yeah. But I will also say, he might have switched into Polytoad to get the rain up, because Tangela was a synthesis, and a synthesis under rain can only heal 25%, so preventing Prof from healing up pretty good, but like, like, it's just kind of iffy plays around Tangela. But moving back to the positives, capitalizes, like I say, with Swampert and Coco. He has been using them excellently in this matchup. Excuse me. But yeah, Mian Shao ends up being somewhat invisible, but not for the bad reasons, because it doesn't need to wall break this week. Like, Tangela's gone. The door has swung open for Tapu Koko and Mega Swampert to give Prof a tough time, and he really gave him a tough time offensively. Like, Swampert picks up 2 kills before going down to Tornado's Eye. But, like, at that point, yeah, Swampert's not really too important. Yeah, we just go into Coco and win now, pretty much. So, he used them very effectively this week. And really, when it came to breaking down Tangela, swings the door open for his 2 major threats, and he plays his cards well. So Caracasa, if his play continues like this, he will start rising very fast. I would like to say. He will start rising very fast. But right now, he's at number 10. But yeah, moving on to number 9, the coach I have a grudge against, because this is the positioning where I accidentally put another coach and it really screwed over my last recording. That is Coach Reckless of the Awesome Ducks. Ends up beating Sully this week. Now, I only rose him 1 star because Sully was last week, so I got to take that win with a pinch of salt. But his signature is Lola Marowak, and he also brings Tornadus T, Rotom Wash, Chestnut, Diggersby, and Mew. And I would like to say he ends up having some good tech all around for Sully's team. He ends up bringing a Rocky Helmet Chestnut to deal with Mega Lopunny, say clicking Triple Axle or something like Decidueye, clicking any sort of physical type moves, really punish his physical attackers. Stuff like Zoroark if he's a physical, which I believe Sully was since he was spamming knockoff. But Diggersby ends up being an SD set. He plays Diggersby very well in this matchup, I would like to say. Really opens the door for it to finish late game once Decidueye's gone, once Zoroark's gone. All's left is Mega Lopunny, and same with Alola Ninetales pretty much being gone. I believe it'll still alive at like 9% in range of a quick attack. Just Reckless plays really well with his Diggersby. Or not really well with his Diggersby, but really well paving the way for Diggersby to really become effective this week. But Reckless's match did not start all peachy keen. He has a very slow start. Kind of really gets caught off the back foot with Zoroark disguising as the Regieleki, basically taking out Alola Marowak, and it kind of showed that Reckless did not really know exactly what to do against Zoroark, and it really caught him very off guard. He lost a lot of momentum early on, losing Alola Marowak. He loses his boots on Torrent. So, yeah, it really kind of hurts for him this week. And I believe he also lost his Diggersby item, if I'm correct. I believe Diggersby also did have to take a knockoff from Zoroark. But, yeah, he really gets caught off the back foot very early. Literally turn 1. Literally turn 1. And, but he does, like I said, he picks up his momentum as the late game approaches. He capitalizes on Sully not really making the plays that he needs to win. And he really kind of pulls himself back in the game multiple different times. Did he also kind of dig himself into a little bit of a hole in some of those times? Yeah, he does kind of get a little too cheeky to say with his predictions. Like when Rotom Wash is looking at a Claydol, he ends up clicking Volt Switch. I know why he's clicking Volt Switch there. He's thinking like, okay, Decidueye might come in. Who else may come in? Yeah, probably just Decidueye. Maybe Alola Ninetales, but I doubt it. But most likely Decidueye. So I'm just going to click Volt Switch here. but it really like I said, like I said for Sully, Reckless, it stops his momentum as Claydol now gets a Toxic off. It kind of needs for Alola Ninetales to become effective, which I would like to say he misplays heavily around Alola Ninetales. With Mew is kind of the only Pokemon at that point can now take multiple Blizzards, and he clicked Substitute when he's kind of low. Like, he had Aura Sphere. I know it's not going to do a lot, but like, I think you gotta kind of attack what's in front of you at that point. This thing is a threat, so why are you not attacking it? So I don't agree with him clicking Substitute and Mew. Mew kind of gets wasted this week. I think he just should have clicked Aura Sphere from the start, take that first Blizzard. I think he lives another. I think he may have lived another, but didn't make sense on his part. Did not make sense, but pulls himself back in the game, especially with his makes some good late game plays to really seal this match for himself. Like, especially with Diggersby, keeping Chestnut around so that if he gets that quick attack off on Mega Lop and it does kill Diggersby, well, Chestnut comes in, and Chestnut has Rocky Helmet. So good job keeping Rocky Helmet on Chestnut, not letting it get knocked off by, say, Zoroark. Torrent ends up kind of using it a little well. There are some plays I would also kind of change. Like, he doesn't bring Hurricane, which I understand he's been burnt. He was burnt last week on not hitting it, but like, I think that's one of the things with Torrent is that you gotta click Hurricane. If you're drafting that thing, you gotta have the nuts to be clicking Hurricane over Air Slash. You want that damage. You're playing a risky game, but god damn it, you're playing it. So ends up not bringing Hurricane, which Hurricane was pretty free against Sully. It's very free against them, but ends up not bringing it. I don't agree with it, but oh well. Oh well. Yeah, Reckless does winning this match. Was it pretty? No, but he wins the match, and you know, at this point, I think for Reckless, that's the important part. He gets the W. He moves on to week 3 now, at least not winless. So he ends up beating Sully. Now, let's see if he can build on it in the coming weeks. Pull himself back up after a really crappy start. So hopefully we see more out of Reckless. But yes, moving on to number 8. That would be Coach Gil, coach of the FC Victini Pilsen. Gil ends up losing this week, but I don't think it was that bad for Gil. Like, I do say he had some strange plays and kind of strange prep, to be honest. Kind of strange prep, but his signature Savali ends up coming. I believe it was a Savali fighting, because he told me he specifically wanted to be able to touch, I think it was Incineroar and Urshifu and Magnezone. I think it was actually just Incineroar and Magnezone. But those were her major 2 that he wanted to touch that wasn't weak to water or grass. So he ends up bringing a Savali fighting. Yeah, wait. Yeah, Teshi... Tenchi has Urshifu Rapid Strike. That's why. I only put Urshifu in my notes for some reason. I gotta amend that for week 3 moving forward, that I make sure I get the right Urshifu. But, yeah. But, like I said, he ends up not wanting it to be weak to water or grass, because it kind of goes to show Pokemon that he had to face. Delmise was pretty decent this matchup. And yeah, it is Urshifu Rapid Strike. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and Urshifu Rapid Strike, really kind of a threat against him. If something happens to Skarm, and as we see in this matchup, Magnezone is a magnet pull for Skarm, and Gil does have good prep with Skarm, ends up bringing Whirlwind, but his poor luck really just comes into play here, because Magnezone comes out on a full HP Skarmory. Magnezone ends up clicking Volt Switch. Gil with the Skarmory clicks Whirlwind on the incoming. I don't even believe what came in next, but it didn't matter because he Whirlwind backed out to Magnezone. So poor luck on Gil's part, but he also had to Shed Shell on Savali, but it ends up getting knocked off early on by Delmise, which I understand why he makes that switch into Skarmory there, but Delmise, I mean, it's a good Pokemon to click knockoff with. You kind of got to expect knockoff, and you kind of don't want to lose your item on Skarm. So letting Skarm get knocked off really shot himself in the foot, and it showed this week. Yeah, this was the week. But I think one thing that's really happened with Gil's team is that we're starting to see is that if you break one of his main defensive walls, his team kind of starts collapsing in on itself, which isn't a good thing to watch, especially when Gil's playing a kind of pure defensive team. He doesn't have much offense. Like his major forms of offense so far have came out of Alolan Muck, which I don't mind Alolan Muck, but it's not a sheer wall breaker. It's if it's offensive, it's going to be a setup curse set. Like that's his major form of offense. So a defensive team starts kind of collapsing in on itself. Definitely not good to watch, but I will also give him credit. Both times when it was Skarmory who went down, Skarmory was trapped. Whether it was the Magnezone Magnapool or Whirlpool Skarmory, but yeah, we're starting to see a pattern that doesn't look great for Gil. Is that if you break one of his defensive Pokemons, you really swing the door right open. And Gil does I will not say he does not know how to react, but I think once he loses them on, it really becomes tough to react to something. Because one of those mons was probably his major form of defense. And as we see, Skarmory going down opens the door heavily for Urshifu to become a problem because Urshifu was a choice banded set. And I don't know if I said Gil's team at first, but Savali, yeah, I got off track. He ends up bringing Savali, Skarmory, Blissey, Alolan Muck, Gourgeist, and Quagsire. And you may be thinking, oh, he's got Gourgeist. That's a good counter for Urshifu. Well, Tenchi was a choice banded Fire Punch Urshifu for Gourgeist. So, Gourgeist is not really a problem to Tenchi at that point. So yeah, losing Skarmory really opens the door for Urshifu to come and bring Tenchi back into this game. Well, not bring him back, because the game was still pretty even, but it really swings the odds in his favor. And you know what? I think he just got outworked in the end game. I think Gil did not make the predictions he needed to, while Tenchi was making the right calls every single play. Like he made good doubles, he made good attacking strats. So like kind of knew what to attack, what was coming in, or if it was staying in. What should I click? Gil was just getting read like a book, and he wasn't making the plays to jump out of it. So it really pins him into a corner in the end game. But I will say, I kind of in the point in the game, he kind of has to decide once he wants to lose too, and he ends up getting rid of Delmise with Savali. Savali, another week where it's kind of just wasted a little bit, but getting rid of Delmise, it was a massive offensive threat to him once Skarmory went down and Alolan Muck started to get weakened. So I understand the playmaking there, but it really kind of opens the door for Urshifu to now clean up because your Savali fighting is gone now. So yeah. But it was a tough loss for Gil, but I don't think it's something he can't bounce back from. It was a very close game. It was a close game from start to near the end. I think once Tenchi starts really making the doubles he needs to, I think it really swings in his favor. But I think Gil can definitely bounce back after this. I definitely think so. But moving on to number 7, we got the opponent to the FC Victini Pilsen, and that is the Shonen Blacklist, Coach Tenchi. And moving back to the positives, plays really well with Urshifu. Like I said, he made excellent endgame doubles. And to really keep momentum on his side, ends up doubling with, say, Urshifu, Gengar, and Incineroar. He played very well with Incineroar. Even though it doesn't show up that much on the stat sheet, I believe, Incineroar was very effective this matchup with very good pivoting with Parting Shot. Really sets Tenchi in a good place to end up winning this game. Plays very well with Incineroar. I like to see that. I had my questions about it being his signature, but so far, with at least this week, he plays very well with it, and I like to see that. I like to see that, definitely. But he ends up taking out Savali, and it was really the last major threat to Urshifu, and he also kind of paved the way well for Urshifu to win this game. Gets rid of traps and gets rid of Skarmory. Ends up weakening Alolan Muck, so it can't do too much back to him. And gets rid of Savali, who is Savali fighting, can outspeed him. So yeah, Tenchi really paved the way well for Urshifu to come in and finish the game. But I would like to say negative with Urshifu is he heavily risks the game. when he ends up doubling on a Quagsire into Urshifu, because if Gil clicks Scald there and gets the burn, that really weakens Tenshi's chances to win the game, because he ends up bringing Gengar this week. And I will say, Gengar put in work. Tenchi played well enough and made sure Blissey was not a threat to get rid of it. And I would also like to say I did not. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this a new thing, reading coaches' teams. But Tenchi brings Incineroar, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Salamence, Gengar, Magnezone, and Delmise ends up being his 6 this week. And I think Gengar, I don't know if I would have brought it, but Tenchi raises a good point of why he did. Gets rid of Alolan Muck, gets rid of Blissey, and once those two are gone, Gengar is free to click whichever move it so desires. And Tenchi really plays well, moving its major defensive threats out of the way. So while I have my questions on Gengar coming this week, you know what? I can't fault him because he played well getting rid of its major counters. So I'm not gonna shit down his throat about this because he played well. I can't I can't really assault him over the rocks for this. But yeah, Tenchi ends up moving up to number 7, ends up jumping up to 4 spots. He's a big riser this week. There's another coach we'll see later on, also jumps up 4 spots. But yeah, Tenchi up to number 7. But moving on to number 6, we got a coach who kind of had a misfortunate week to say the very least, which is Keto. Keto ends up going against Trinell, and I think this week we'll get the Trinell, but I would also like to say Trinell really kind of cemented his spot as one of the powerhouses with this win. Because Keto, this week, he ends up bringing Empoleon, does signature, along with Megas, Absol, Volcarona, Sylveon, Hitmonlee, and Archeops. And I would also like to say, Keto ends up making a transaction this week. He drops Jolteon for Electivire, which I would like to say is another poor soul thinking Electivire can do something. But we'll see later on. Do not get too attached to this one either. Yeah, Electivire is not going to last long. I'm sorry to say it, but this transaction, I have my questions about, but I also do really want to see Electivire do well. I really like it as a Pokemon, so hopefully we see it do well this season. But yes, Jolteon, the dropping of that, it really hampers his speed tiers. He doesn't have that stupid fast Pokemon, I believe, anymore, so it's a questionable move, but it's, if it works out, it works out. But turn 1, I really think was where Keto kind of loses this game. Because early on, he leads Sylveon against a Mega Mawile, and he's a Choice Spec Sylveon and clicks a Mystic Fire. I think Sylveon had a decent matchup this game, especially when you see a Buzzwole there, you see Dragapult there. He ends up losing Sylveon early. He gets Mega Mawile down to 9%, but Mega Mawile knocks it out with a Play Rough, I believe. So, losing Sylveon early was really not... I don't know what you do there. I don't know exactly what he should have done, but Sylveon lead, I don't agree with. Because in this instance, yeah, it really kind of comes back to haunt him. But turn 2, he sends him an Empoleon as the replacement to Sylveon. And that was a misclick. He meant to go Absol, it seems. So, he goes into Absol and takes unnecessary damage from a knockoff. You gotta... I think Keto's gotta play a little bit slower, because especially against a coach like Trinell, you cannot be misclicking. You can't be accidentally doing stuff, because he will punish you if you make a play that really cuts your momentum. He will punish you. And this week showed, like taking useless damage on Mega Absol, which is his major way of dealing with Dragapult. Like, what? What are you doing there, pal? But yeah, the Empoleon, he also, again with Empoleon, so he ends up looking at a Superior. It's an Assault-vested offensive Empoleon. He clicks Grass Knot on the Surf switch in because he was looking at a Milo. I completely get it. I mean, yeah, you want to go for damage on Milo. You click Grass Knot, he goes in Surf. Okay, I'm getting some damage. What is this thing? He then clicks Grass Knot again while looking at a Superior, Well, Superior just clicks it could have clicked anything, but he clicks a Leaf Storm, which is still a good play. But if it's a subset, what are you gonna do? But he has Ice Beam. He has Ice Beam. He just doesn't click it. He could have got that big damage out on Superior, but I don't know if he's just playing too fast. But he makes massive misplays early on, and he just digs his own grave. He digs his own grave for this matchup, and he ends up having to reveal this Hitmonlee set earlier, which is an Endure Lychee. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the attack. It's the berry where if you're below 25%, it increases your attack stage by 1. And he's reversal set on Hitmonlee as well. So it's a cool set. He ends up brought it last week, but I didn't want to say it because this is a fun set. I want to see it work. He ends up having to reveal it early because he's got to get rid of Superior. It's at +4 now. Like, if he would have got that damage off, he might have put it in range for Archeops to now come in. And he's a choice scar for Archeops, so he outspeeds. Instead of having to waste Hitmonlee now. So his misplays really punish him. His misplays just really punish him this matchup. But like I said, it was cool, but he reveals it too early on, and he kind of has to reveal it. Because he doesn't get that important damage off he needs on Serp. So Mega Absol or Archeops can come in and finish it off now. But yeah, I just... I don't agree. Well, I say I don't agree, but it's like, he's got to play slower. Keto's got to play slower. And I just don't agree with some of the plays he makes. Because it's a tough week. Tough week for Keto. This is one he's going to definitely want to brush off. But one of my notes I had down on here, I think he really got into his own head in this matchup. I think he did. I think he was thinking a little too hard about things. He was either playing way too quick or way too slow. I didn't get to see the match live, so I don't know, but probably way too quick. But I think he really gets into his own head. And yeah, it's just not a pretty week for Keto. He can definitely bounce back out of this. But this week was definitely not something to champion as, yes, good week, yes. So, yeah, Keto, this is one you want to brush off, but tough week, but we're all going to have him. Everyone's going to have him at some point this season, potentially, except for his opponent. But we'll get to him later. We will get to him later. But yes, Keto at number 6. Moving on to number 5. We got Coach KW Dog, coach of the VA Litwick. Ends up having a really rough loss this week. Plays Coach Jules. And Keto ends up bringing Nidoqueen, which is his signature, Mega Banette, Togekiss, Darmanitan, Tangrowth, and Lycanroc, which I would like to say, you're probably Darmanitan. Keto made a transaction after week 1, ends up dropping Zygarde 10% and picks up Darmanitan, which I would like to say, I absolutely love this move. Darmanitan is an excellent wall breaker, and you know what, I just didn't think Zygarde 10% made sense in his team. Ends up picking a really good fire type. I think this is a good transaction by him. I really like it. Gives him a really another heavy hitting Pokemon, adds to another list of threats on his team. But Keto, I really just didn't think prepped well this week. And it really showed is that Gligar became a big defensive wall against him. Because on Nidoqueen, he doesn't run Ice Beam. He runs Dual Stab, Flamethrower for a potential Escavalier, which does not end up coming, and Thunderbolt for stuff like Suicune or Mega Aerodactyl. I think he should have had Ice Beam. He should have squeezed it on there somewhere. And personally, I might have taken Thunderbolt out of there because he was doing a lot with Sludge Wave against Suicune, and I still wouldn't want to stay into Suicune because it might start setting up Calm Minds against me, and which it does with Jules. He just did not have good prep for Suicune, and it really showed because Tangrowth ends up being an Assault Vest set, but Tangrowth gets very whittled down very early, and KW loses it very early. So losing Tangrowth very early, like, it really shot himself in the foot. Because now that swung the door open for Suicune just to pick the right spot, start clicking Calm Mind. And his last way of getting rid of it is potentially Mega Banette clicking Destiny Bond. Because Jules, he had the door swung wide open for Calm Mind Sylveon to really wreck KW's day since Tangrowth's gone. But losing Tangrowth early really sucked for him. He really should have kept it around. But Once Tangrowth's gone, it really showed he had poor prep for a setup Sylveon. Or not Sylveon, a setup Suicune. Because Nidoqueen, yeah, can click Thunderbolt, but that's going to become less and less effective as Calm Mind start getting set up. And Suicune outspeeds, so he can just click Scald and get rid of you. Mega Banette, like, if he clicks Scald and gets a burner, he gets Toxic off on you, then he doesn't have to worry about your Destiny Bond. Togekiss, like I said, the effectiveness of Calm Mind really kind of lower. The effectiveness of Togekiss really gets lowered with more and more Calm Minds being set up, and Darmanitan can't really touch it. And Lycanroc, I don't know why Lycanroc came this week, personally. I like it, why? Like, I guess Accelerock for Mega Aerodactyl? What, outside that? Like, I don't think Lycanroc had a good matchup, and this really showed when it does pretty much nothing. Pretty much nothing. Doesn't do a lot. But yeah, not having any sort of way to break Gligar really... Break Gligar and Suicune just really damps his chance of victory. But yeah, I just... This was not a good week for KW. He can bounce back out of this. But... yeah, he was facing another good coach with Joel, so also there, I've got to cut him some slack. It's not like he lost to a coach low on the boards. Jules was number 5 last week. As you see, he has rose because of his victory. But, yeah, like I said, brush off this week, KW. You can bounce back out of this. You got a good team. You got a fun team. So, and definitely, after your week 1 performance, I really think you can bounce back after this. I really think you got good pieces in the working. Just got to put them together. Just got to put them together. So moving on to number 4, we got our riser this week. Our second riser as Capital coach of the New York Metas. Cap plays a very well week after a tough week 1. A very close week 1. Lost to Gil. Almost pulls it back. But week 2, I think the story of this was Meloetta. Picks up 5 kills in this matchup. Assault Vested Meloetta really just ripped Firemaster's team in half. Firemaster really had no way of dealing with this thing outside of offensively. Like, he can't, like, if Meloetta comes in on something like Chandelure while Chandelure's locked into Shadow Ball or Fire Blast, Capador gets a free click. He gets a free click there. But it was Meloetta's week, but I will say Capador was a little lucky. Get some well-timed paralysis, well-timed flinches. So very lucky, but as my dad always told me, you got to be good to be lucky and lucky to be good, and I think that really showed this week. Cap played very well. There's a couple plays I would like to change, like when Heracross ends up killing Tapu Fini, he goes into Gallade, which I don't agree with. After running some calc, I think he should have went to Shaman because, one, I don't think at that point Shaman looked very great. I don't think it looked great in this matchup, period. I don't know why it really came, but ends up coming. And I think he should have clicked Air Slash because he had it. And he can also get the flinch there, but like, I think Gallade is a lot more important than Shaman, and he's risking Gallade very early. And as we see, he's looking at an SD Garchomp on the other side of the field, which now he has no way of really kind of countering if Firemaster gets going with it. He doesn't have any way to offensively pressure it. He has no Scarfers, as Cinderace can't really do too much to Garchomp. And if Megalade's dead, then he can't outspeed. Can't outspeed then. So he risked Megalade very early on, but ends up getting rewarded for that risk. But I do believe it was like a 50-50 chance of flinching plus of paralysis occurring. So ends up doing a coin flip, and you know what? He landed heads. He chose correctly. But I think he should have went to Shaman there. I don't think Megalade was the play. But you know what? It's just a lot positive this week. A very good handling of SG Chomp with Miltank ends up getting the Body Slam paralysis on it. And even if it doesn't get the Body Slam paralysis, he still has Megalade in the back. He is weakening Garchomp with Miltank. You know what? Good plays by him. Good plays. Excellent prep for Shandy. Like I said, Shandy's a scary Pokemon to play sometimes, but like, you definitely saw in Capador's eyes, he was not afraid of this thing at all. He has a assault vested Meloetta, which I also gotta say his team this week. His team this week was a Meloetta, a Megalade, Cinderace, Tapu Fini, Shaman, and Miltank. That was his 6 this week. But uh, I keep forgetting to do it. I'll remember. I gotta put a note down for week 3 and weeks moving forward. But yeah, excellent prep for Shandy. Assault vested Meloetta ends up having a thick fat Miltank, which can also take like a Fire Blast if needed. So you know what? Good prep on Cap's part. He prepped excellently, and it really showed this battle. He just out prepped Fire Master. I think he out prepped him and outplayed him. Question mark, because Capital doesn't really make any like risky plays here. He doesn't make any like calls. He kind of just assesses his opponent right in front of him and plays him well. Like, he realizes Meloetta, just kind of nukes everything, and he just nukes what he's looking at. He doesn't really kind of make strange predictions. Cap just played well. He played safe, but he played well. And if he has good prep, he can afford to play safe, and this is where it worked out. Yeah, excellent play by Capital this week. And you know what? Week 1, I think, was just a mishap, and I think he's definitely going to be shooting up towards the power rankings, potentially maybe fighting for that number 1 spot, but it is very early on, so I think any coach from 5 up can really be fighting for that number 1 spot. And yeah, I am including KW, even though he did lose to one of the upper coaches, but could have been an off week. But all these coaches, I really think have an excellent chance of finishing out this season with the best odds for playoffs. I definitely think so. But moving on to number 3, we got the victor against KW. That is Coach Jules, coach of the Umbreon Calcio. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I am Italian, but I don't speak Italian. So, Umbreon football, we're just going to go with, because English, well, it's Umbreon soccer if you're a freedom loving patriot. God bless the Eagle. But yeah, Coach Jules ends up putting in a big win this week against KW, who had high up last week. So Jules would have rose higher if there weren't 2 coaches above him, which I just think played better. But you know what? Jules, excellent prep and excellent play, ends up utilizing Gligar and Suicune very well defensively. Clefable, I still have my question marks about it being a wish Clefable, but it's working for him. Kangaskhan ends up coming this week. His 6 this week are Gligar, Mimikyu, Suicune, Kangaskhan, Clefable, and Rotom Mow. And he really, like I said, he takes very good advantage of KW getting rid of Tangrowth and paves the way for Suicune to really put in work, because it seems like that and Mimikyu were going to be his major forms of offense, and we see both of them this week put in good work. And yeah, he ends up getting rid of KW's misplay of getting rid of. He ends up getting rid of KW's misplay. Yes, he ends up capitalizing on KW's misplay of getting rid of Tangrowth, and excellent Suicune prep, plays it very well, and the decor really locks down the fort for him this week. I think we're going to see moving forward that I think I might have underrated Jules' decor. Maybe a little bit, but it's also week 2, because Suicune, Gligar, and Clefable have been pretty solid so far. They've been holding the fort well. And the only kind of negative I have here is he ends up with Suicune. He ends up clicking Ice Beam against Mega Banette, which I don't know if he's going for the freeze there. I would have clicked Scald and go for the burn, because if you get that burn off, 1, it's not going to hit you very hard, and 2, then you can kind of just click Calm Mind and rest over and over again until it dies to burn. And you don't have to worry about a Destiny Bond getting thrown your way. So I would have clicked Scald there, but it's a very minute misplay, because I just think Jules played really well this week. He played, like I said, with Cap, but it also applies to Jules. He plays safe, but he prepped very well, and he allowed himself to play safe because of his prep. So good plays by Jules, good prep by Jules. I really just don't have too much to say, because I don't think it was a special, like, it was a statement win, but I don't think it was like a very special win, if that kind of makes sense. It was a good win. Don't get me wrong. Good win, good plays well, but I don't think it was a big statement. It was a I don't think it was a big big like chess match win, to say the very. I guess that's the best way I could put it, like a chess match. Just two coaches really slowly maneuvering their pieces, very calculated. Because like I said, safe but smart. I would like to say with rules. I think that's the best way to play. The best way to summarize this week. This week it was safe but smart with his prep and with his play. But yeah, moving on to number 3, we got Coach Trenell, coach of the Tübingen Trevenon. Ends up rising up to number 2 and kind of proves that, you know what, you got to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky, because he ends up playing against Keto this week, who I also had high up on the power rankings last week, and really manhandles him. Like, even though turn 1 he ends up getting caught off guard, I would say, by Specs Mystical Fire from Sylveon. You know what? Getting rid of Sylveon was important for him, because that heavily opens the door for Dragapult to become very effective, for Buzzwole to become very effective. And we don't see Buzzwole this matchup, but it opens the door. And I think he definitely makes an excellent play there, just going for the kill. Don't click knockoff, predicting the switch. You know what? Free play rough. Just click it. He does. Gets rewarded. But he ends up having like a very very good prep. A very good prep for this week. Milotic is really shown to be a little bit, it's kind of unkillable. You know, Volcarona tries to start setting up on him, and I didn't say this for Keto, but Keto ends up bringing a weakness policy Volcarona, and I don't know if that was going through Trenell's mind, but he doesn't click Scald against it. With Milotic, he ends up just clicking Toxic, and realizing, you know what, I'm just going to let him whittle himself down, basically. I'm not going to click Scald here, even though it's pretty much free, but a Toxic's also kind of free, because, yeah, I'm going to click Toxic, and Volcarona ends up being a setup set, and he brings a Milotic, which kind of punishes the setup Volcarona. Ends up bringing a Haze, Toxic, Scald, Recover with Milotic, which was definitely in the play. Milotic, he's playing it very well as a signature, and his 6 this week were Milotic, Buzzwole, Mega Mawile, Serperior, Talonflame, and Dragapult. So brings his major threats, brings his excellent defense with Milotic. Talonflame comes as well. I don't want to say that was not a major threat, but like, I mean, you compare Talonflame to defensively to Milotic or offensively to Mega Mawile, you're not going to say, yeah, it's a threat. No, it's still good though, but enough of my rant. But yeah, good prep with his Milotic. Serperior, he's really using Serperior effectively, and I'm not just saying that after week 1, because I think Trenell is using Serperior to kind of not wall break, but get good chip on stuff, especially when his opponent really can't handle Serperior. He's kind of not using it as a win con, just kind of as a wall breaker, which is a little strange with Serperior now, because it doesn't have access to hidden power. So Trenell using this thing as kind of a wall breaker, you know what? Pretty impressive, I would like to say. Breaks Empoleon, which is important because that removes Keto's defense with Sylveon and Empoleon being gone. And it just opens the door for now Dragapult to just get free Dragon Darts. And as we see that in this game, Dragon Dart is free after that point. But yeah, good prep by Trenell, good plays. I don't have too much to add to this, because you know what? This was just he outplayed his opponent, outprepped his opponent, and especially his opponent being a good coach. Excellent. Excellent, to say the very least, from Trenell. Definitely asserting himself as one of the threatening coaches. He has this really threatening team, but he's also using it very well. We'll see moving forward how he continues to use it. But number 1, reigning from last week, we got Coach Gert Bilbo of the Old English SQ. And ends up holding the number 1 spot this week because he plays all around pretty excellently, to say the very least. His 6 this week. Spectre adds a signature. Mega Venusaur Tornado comes this week. Metagross, Chansey, and Zapdos. And he is really utilizing Venusaur, Chansey, and Zapdos as an excellent defensive core. Not too much defense on Zapdos, but defensive enough. He can still afford to be somewhat offensive, but he runs it in a way where he can be a bulky offensive Zapdos. And he utilizes it very well this week, getting paralysis off on Rillaboom, kind of keeping it around for Hawlucha, but I think Hawlucha does pick up the kill against him. But I think that's after the unburden has been burnt, so he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Doesn't have to worry about it. But you know what? He just has been playing very well with his defensive core. And I don't think that's honestly slight as an offense. We get to see Spectre kind of makes it played last week, but he didn't. I don't even think it hit the field once. So it kind of gets his debut this week and kind of shows that, like, yeah, you need to bring your normal type or dark type if you're going to want to beat Gert Bilbo, because this thing's a threat. It's a threat, to say the very least. It's a threat. But he played very well with good predictions and good pivots, I would like to say. Zapdos playing well with that. He's playing well with every Pokemon on his team. Metagross going into Galarian Slowking. I understand. He may not have expected the Hex, but still, it's kind of end game, so you're not losing at that point. But you also kind of want to save differential. But so yeah, but it's just an overall. He's been playing to every Pokemon strength on this team. I think that's the best thing I can say. He's using every Pokemon effectively. I don't think there's one Pokemon that I've been like, oh yeah, he could be a little bit better there. He's playing very effectively with these Pokemon. But Tortinator ends up getting a kill, and he knows from his nickname, he knows I love this thing. Ends up getting a kill. I believe, who was it on? Was it Grimmsnarl, I believe? Might have not been. It might have been a Rillaboom or Lycanroc. I don't know, but he got a kill, and that's all that matters. That is all that matters. And the only negative takeaway I can kind of have is with his prep, with not having Roost on Zapdos. I don't know why. I would have had Roost there, but he ends up not having it. I would have had Roost for Hawlucha, just because he's either got to miss a Stone Edge or touch me physically. So, and if he does that, he might get static. I would have had Roost, but now it's a very minute criticism, very, very, very minute. But he is playing very well to this team's strengths. He ends up playing well around Grimmsnarl, who was a screens set. Like, I believe it was a light clay with dual screens. It definitely was dual screens, but he ends up burning them very well and not letting screens kind of take over the match. So, you know, a good play by Gert Bilbo there. You know, he's playing well. He's playing very well, and I had to leave him at this number one spot. I don't think I could have justified moving him down, not at all. So right now, week 2, he is still in the number one spot, 2 weeks in a row. Let's see if he makes it 3. But yes, that have been the week 2 power rankings. I would like to thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for week 3, which will not be delayed. It will still be Sunday. But yeah, I would like to thank you all for watching. But above all else, keep watching, PWC fans. We got a fun season upon us. I'll catch you all next time.